Earlier this year, a former instructor of mine, Rolando Villalobos of Stanford's Bechtel Center, asked me to participate in a NAFSA presentation about unique approaches to pre-orientation programming. I had made a pilot presentation for him several months earlier, and he thought it'd be a good idea to share it with the larger NAFSA community. This video will take you through the presentation. If you need to skip ahead to certain parts, please see the description for specific time codes. So, we're going to talk about using video in your orientation. I'm going to give you a couple of samples. Time providing, I'm going to try and show you all of one of them, but we'll see. But before we get into that, I should just say, I'll give you a little personal information here. When it comes to bridging intercultural gaps, national gaps, whatever, this is sort of like my thesis, if you will. That the human eye is a natural cross-cultural platform. No matter where we're born, no matter who our parents were, no matter our gender, the one thing that 99% of the world has in common is we collect information with our eyes. So when Rolando asked us to start thinking about these issues prevalent to international students, I thought back to the several times I was a transitioning international student and what was my issues. And the one that was common, or one of them that was common for all of them, was the fact that the first week, right when I arrived, was so stressful. Not for any academic reason, but just because of all the logistical things that I had to sort out in transitioning to a new area. So I wanted to try and still am, a photographer, and I wanted to use my media skills to try and alleviate some of that stress for incoming Monterey Institute students. Now, I will say the two products I'm going to show you are derivations of the original product I delivered to Rolando. That was 15 minutes long. It had an international student who was the speaker. I took it to our Office of Student Services. They told me there were a few things we needed to change because we may have had our student say one thing he was not supposed to say. The first one we're going to look at is the issue of fresh off the plane, the problem that almost all international students are going to have, that when I arrive in a new country, I arrive at the airport. And I don't know how many, if any, academic institutions have an airport connected to their campus, but I don't think the number is high. So they've got to figure out how to get from the airport to the campus. Not too hard for us, but for an international student, I almost certainly don't have a car. If I don't know anyone, I don't have access to a car. If I'm an undergraduate, I probably legally can't rent a car. So how do I get there?
If you are going to fly to California, you might wonder how you get to the Monterey Institute from the airport. In case you do not have a car, this video explains the various options. Please see the description below for the time codes of specific starting locations. If you land at either San Francisco or San Jose International airports, your best bet is to take the Monterey Airbus. At the San Jose airport, there are two main pickup locations. If you arrive in Terminal B, you'll want to exit the baggage claim area, cross the street to the scheduled buses area, and walk down to stop number 6. It is right across from the rental car center. The pickup location for Terminal A and international arrivals is the same, but you will come at it from different directions. From the Terminal A baggage claim, exit the building and walk along the long line of taxis for about 100 meters. You'll come to the bus terminal area and you are looking for stop number 7. The international terminal is across the street from Terminal A, so you are going to the same location. After you have exited customs, simply cross the street, turn right, and walk to stop number 7. At the San Francisco airport, there are two pickup locations. If you arrive at the domestic terminals, that being terminals 1, 2, or 3, you'll want to exit the airport from the lower level baggage claim area, cross the street to the center island, and look for the blue post labeled Airporters. This video is from Terminal 1, but all 3 domestic terminals have the same layout. If you arrive at the international terminal, After you have cleared customs, exit the terminal via door number 3, cross the street to the center island, and look to your left for the airporters signs. The Airbus picks up passengers every 90 minutes. It is best to reserve your spot online before you arrive at the airport. Booking online saves you $5 off the cost of a ticket, which is dependent on which airport you are traveling from. You can still ride the Airbus without a reservation, but there's no guarantee there will be a seat available for you at the time you need it, and you may have to wait at the airport until the next pickup time. Tickets are good for one journey anytime on the day you buy it for. If your flight is delayed, you might have to wait for the next bus, but you won't have to buy another ticket. Your ticket includes space for 1 suitcase and 1 carry-on. Additional suitcases are $5 each. It is not required to tip the driver, but many people do. Between $2 and $5 is plenty, but again, it is not required. The Airbus will take you all the way to Monterey and drop you off 1 block from the Monterey Institute campus on a street called Calle Principal that is very close to the campus. If you arrive at the local Monterey airport, for around $10 you can grab a taxi right outside the baggage claim area. It's a small airport and hard to miss. Some taxis may take credit cards, but we strongly recommend having cash on hand. All the drivers should know the Monterey Institute by name, but to be sure, ask them to take you to 440 Van Buren Street. That is the address of the Office of Student Services. You can also take the number 13 city bus from the airport to get into town. It is only $1.50, and you will want a bus going to Monterey, not Ryan Ranch. Please note that this bus only picks up passengers on this route every 2 hours. You can download details of the route and a timetable by following this link. This video will not go into the various driving routes you can take if you rent a car in Los Angeles or San Francisco. However, be sure to ask for a GPS system if it is your first time driving in the area. If you have any questions or need assistance upon arrival, please do not hesitate to call Student Services. If you need help outside of office hours, please contact campus security.
But our idea was we wanted to show the students exactly what they're going to be looking at from getting, as soon as they're out the doors, they picked up their bag at baggage claim, like it's the airport's responsibility to get them to baggage claim, and you can't film inside an airport. And so we wanted to say, you've got your bags, now what? And we wanted to show you step by step, literally, taking the camera step by step, which is why it's a little jerky, how to get to where the bus would pick you up. Our advantage is that the Monterey Airbus services all of the airports that we get students from, so depending upon your logistics, it might have to be tweaked some. So I'll just show this slide, and then we'll go into the next one here. So that's that. The second product was, well, once I found the campus, I've arrived, my next logistical issue is finding out where are my classes? Where are these offices where I have to go and report in to tell them I've arrived? Where are the other departments where I have to sign forms? So in our second product, we wanted to show the complete layout of the Monterey Institute. And I'm using the word complete deliberately. As my flavor text suggests here, a lot of marketing and media teams will make campus tours that are basically your scenic vistas and your pretty things. And I mean, they're great. And it helps to bring students to the institution. But it doesn't tell you how to get from place to place. And this is sort of what is my philosophy that sets these videos apart, is I'm not trying to convince anyone to apply. I only want the students who have paid their deposit. They are coming. Now, if I happen to convince a few students to enroll at the same time, I'll gladly take credit for the $80,000 of tuition I just brought you. But that's not my goal. That's not what I'm setting out to do.
Hi there, I'm Maria, and over the next few minutes we'll be giving you a tour of the Monterey Institute to hopefully give you a much better sense of where everything is located. Our campus tour begins where many people first arrive in Monterey, the Airbus Depot on Calle Principal. We begin by going up the stairs and walking through the parking lot. This is a city parking lot and not affiliated with the Institute. Most students do not use the city parking lots unless they are unable to locate an on-campus or street parking spot. The Institute campus is spread over 4 blocks, and this tour will move from east to west. We are on Pacific Street. At the corner with Franklin Street is the McGowan Building. Through the main entrance, we will find the MG100, MG101, and MG102 classrooms. We will also find the Digital Learning Commons, or DLC, in this building. This is the campus hub for technology, innovation, and peer-to-peer learning. McGowan also houses the Custom and Intensive Language Programs Office, which will be important if you are enrolled in a Summer Intensive Language Program or one of the ESL programs. If you are looking for the MG99 classroom, it is only accessible from Franklin Street. Crossing the street, we'll come to the Casa Fuente building. If you have a class in a room number that starts with the prefix CF, it will be on the Pacific Street side of this building. Right next to Casa Fuente is the International Interpretation Resource Center. This location is especially important for students working in translation and interpretation. To get to the next part of campus, we will walk up the main stairs in the center of Casa Fuente. There aren't any classrooms on this level of Casa Fuente, but there are several key offices. To the north, you will find the Office of Student Financial Planning and Human Resources. In the middle are office services and campus services. And to the south is the Records and Business offices. When you turn around, we will see 2 buildings on the opposite side of the street. The Lara Soto Adobe contains the admissions office. To the left of the Lara Soto Adobe is the CADE building that houses the Center for the Blue Economy, or CBE, which works to promote ocean and coastal sustainability. Just to the south is the McCone building. Inside are 2 important locations to be aware of. The first, inside the entrance and to the left, is Irvine Auditorium. Many campus events, lectures, and special programs are held here. On the 3rd floor is the Center for Advising and Career Services. Here you will meet with your academic and career advisor prior to registering for classes. As we leave the McCone building, we will walk through the main student parking lot. Because campus parking is limited, only students that live a mile or more away from campus can obtain a parking permit for the student parking lots. This is something to consider as you search for housing. In the southwest corner of the parking lot, at the corner of Jefferson and Van Buren Street, is the James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies, often called CNS for short. CNS is the largest non-governmental organization in the world devoted to curbing the spread of weapons of mass destruction. When we walk along Van Buren, we will then come to the Sampson Student Center. This area is made up of 2 buildings and a courtyard. The larger building is where students congregate and often purchase food and snacks at the World Cafe. The smaller building is the reading room and is used for quiet study. The little building to the east of the Sampson Center is campus security. This is where you'll go if you need to get a student ID, parking pass, have a door unlocked, or if you require safety assistance. To the north of the Sampson Center is the William Tell Coleman Library. Be sure to take the library tour during orientation week to learn about all the tools at your disposal. Right next door to the library is the Siegel Building, and this is where the offices of the president and provost are located. As we walk away from the library, we will come to the last block of campus. Farthest to the north is the R. Green Thumb Community Garden. This is a student-run community garden with a considerable emphasis on sustainable practices. Next to the garden is the Morse building. Here you will find all the classrooms with an MRSE prefix and the A or B letter. Right next to Morse is the Office of Student Services. This will be your first stop if you have any questions related to student life. Next door to Student Services is the Simoneau House, where the Office of Alumni Relations and Gift Shop are located. Here you can purchase items with the school insignia for yourself, family, and friends. One more building to the west is the Knoll House. This is where ESL students will have most of their classes. Some administrative offices for the program are also located here. Note that while there is another student parking lot here, it only has a dozen spaces. Finally, behind the Van Buren Street buildings is the Holland Center and Courtyard. Both of these are open access areas for study and relaxing. And that concludes our campus tour. Hopefully the past few minutes have given you a better sense of campus and where everything is located. If you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact Student Services.
But, as I said, unfortunately, I could give you that. I can give you the web links if you want to see the full products, but it won't do you any good, right? So, since these are specific to the Monterey Institute, I wanted to, and you'll also notice that they were sort of geared towards a more generic audience. There was mention of international students here and there, but it was not targeted. Now, this was a judgment call by our Office of Student Services, and we'll get into politics a little shortly. But for the second half, I just wanted to talk about some universal techniques that are inside this idea of producing videos that can work sort of with any institution. The first one's pretty easy. So when Rolando initially sort of sparked my interest in this, this is what Casa Fuente looked like in January. So our timing is our issue. And this is what it looks like in March. And while I am saying that we're not trying to promote or sell the institution in these videos, there's no reason we can't put our best foot forward. Here in California, we have a little bit easier. We don't have to go through November to, well, now, still April in some parts of the country where we're covered in snow. So 2 months, and I was able to take the images that I wanted. Now, this is Asza. And Asza is an Icelandic journalist I met several years ago. And she had sort of a golden rule of the internet. And that is no video on the internet should be longer than 5 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes is all you have the attention for people. Think of all the things your marketing team puts out. How many of them are over 5 minutes? Probably not very many. But in this case, I think we can break her rule. And the reason I think we can do that is because international students crave information about where they're going to. When I'm moving my life across the country, which I've done several times, when I'm moving my life across the world, I want to know as much as I can about that place that I'm going to. Like, I'd like to know about the country and the general statistics and that kind of broad overview. That's good. But I want to know, where is the grocery store? How do I find local provisions? Simple things that are just, they seem minute and trivial, but the more you give me, the more I'll watch. And the key term here is kind of watch. I don't have to do anything. I can just sit here and I can just absorb it like a sponge. And more importantly, I don't have to read anything. Students hate reading things. I've been reading for 20 years, and I got at least 2 more years of reading to go. And I'll do anything to get out of reading. This is a graduate student. So hopefully in this, I'll be able to convince you that this is a worthwhile production worth doing, or programming worth doing. But it's going to happen that either your boss or your boss's boss is going to say, well, okay, how much is this going to cost? And the answer is it's kind of expensive. And who else is going to be able to benefit from it? The more offices you can say will benefit, the better your chance of actually getting funding is. Now, some will say, number one, student services, not international scholars. Some will say this is the office whose workload will benefit the best. Imagine if Student Life just had an archive of customized videos that dealt with some of those logistical issues I mentioned. Public transportation, housing is a big one for us, disabilities, how to register for classes, technology on campus, personal safety, local shopping, even something as simple as what clothes should I pack? We're here in our Northern California regional. How many people have students who arrive on campus thinking they were coming to LA? Number two, tourists and visitors and tourists. Now this is kind of a narrow topic, and this will just kind of depend on your institution. But if you have lots of tourists coming in to visit your area, or you have lots of events that are open for the public, then certain videos might help with that. And since that's bringing in revenue, people always like that. Number three, the ISS office. Now, in my opinion, this is the office that could benefit, or that this office could benefit even more than Student Life. And the reason is because the students that come to the ISS office and the international advisors, they've got more conditions placed on them. I mean, we've already gone through maintaining status and health. But they've also got a new academic culture they've got to adjust to. They've got language barriers. But then the international student advisors are also getting questions on topics that are already ingrained in domestic students. Like, how do I sign a lease? Can I get a driver's license? Why do my American classmates say, you should come over sometime? And then when I do, they act surprised to see me. Number four, ESL department. Now this one's a little bit tricky, because if you're creating video products for domestic students and international students that are meant to be fluent in English, you're probably creating products that are of limited use for your ESL department. One example being, would a struggling ESL student or a beginning ESL student know what the word adjacent means that we use in the campus tour? Would they understand sublet when we talk about that in a housing video? Would their parents, who are probably paying for their education, understand it? Two options. One, you can do a translation, which we'll look at shortly. Or what we've done is we took our campus tour script, we gave it to the ESL department and said, simplify this. Whatever, you're the professionals, we don't know how to talk to that specific group of people, and have them create a second script that is just simplified English that we can then just record the audio again, and we'll just swap the audio out of the existing video for the ESL department's audio. We'll re-encode it, takes about 3 minutes, and we've got a second video that the ESL department can link to all their students. We can also put subtitles right on the screen so that students can read it as they go along. Now, for the sake of time, I'm going to put number 5 and number 6 here together. Now, I said we weren't working for these individuals, but let's be honest, we always are, whether we like it or not. And also, these departments often have a substantial budget and can help pay for things. But costs is always going to be sort of the word that then you're going to encounter of, you know, okay, this is going to cost a good amount of money to do this program, keep it going. What's the benefit of it? And my simple answer to it is, if I can get you 2 students who would have gone elsewhere because they happened to see the videos that we prepared for a different audience, if I can get you 2, I've just justified my salary. Depends on your institution. The bottom line being, the other argument you can make is there's only so much time, or there's only so many road warriors you can send out. There's only so much in the budget for international trips to go to fairs and clubs and whatnot. And if your institution chooses to use international agents, this is a way you can not only be providing your international students with information, but you can also kind of train your agents to have a little better perspective on your institution. It's always great to bring them to the campus, show them around, but this is a way you can do it somewhat remotely. Now, I'm sure the question's kind of floating around of how if we do this as one department and we tell our bosses, see how this can be great for all other departments, aren't we then going to have those other departments say, oh yeah, well, it's your program, you make it for us? And I mean, we want to be helpful, but there's only so many hours in the day. And so this is why it's really important of how you go about creating this. And I'm not going to go into the complexities of video editing, right? But down here, this is just our audio track. And all of these little sections mean it's been cut up. So the way we record, we make our video is we work out with student services the script first of what is the approved message that's going to be going out. Because these will be public, so we don't want to have any language that isn't appropriate to whatever they deem. And in that script, every time there's a sentence, there's a pause. So each of these is one sentence where the speaker then pauses. And the reason for this is because then when I get the script back from the ESL department, all I have to do is find a speaker who will record it again for me, and then I just cut it up and I just replace it one at a time.
One of the benefits of my video format is that it makes updates and alternate audio easy to implement. In this short video, I will show you how I can substitute a translation for the original English narration. We will start with the English original.
Where everything is located. Our campus tour begins where many people first arrive in Monterey, the Airbus depot on Calle Principal. We begin by going up the stairs and
since this is the section we are going to replace, I will just delete it. Now up here, you will see our Portuguese translator. For the sake of time, I have already selected the corresponding narration section, and all I'm going to do is drag this section down to my main video project and into the gap we made. Now I'll play it back just to make sure there aren't any mistakes.
Nosso tour do campus começa onde muitas pessoas chegam pela primeira vez em Monterrey, a estação do Airbus na Calle Principal.
We begin by going up the stairs.
There are no mistakes, so I can move on to the next section. The audio is divided into these small sections for two reasons. First, it makes it easier on the narrator to record the script, because they can take frequent breaks and redo sections that contain a mistake. Second, it also allows updates to be made without having to re-record the entire script. If only one sentence is out of date, all I need from my narrator is a new sentence, not the entire piece.
Some questions and address this last issue of assessment. Because if you do this, as I was saying, there's a good amount of resources that go into it, both time and financial, and your bosses are going to want to know if you're being effective, so you need a measurement of some sort. Surveys, tried and true, and are still of use. The downside, though, of surveys is the participation is often limited. There's a lag time between when someone actually experiences the product and when then they give you feedback on it. Some places can be really good, it's a few days. Sometimes it's not until the end of orientation, which could be weeks. However, with very little effort, you can add, oops, going too fast. You can add simple questions like, did you view our videos before you arrived? Did you find them useful? Do you have any suggestions for topics? Now, a better way to do this is, because you'll be hosting things online, is just enabling a comment box underneath it and having the last thing your narrator says be something like, if you enjoyed this video, just press the like button. Or if you think we missed something or something else we should add, just leave it in the comment box below. You don't even have to have the comments publicly visible. You'll still be getting that instant feedback, so the student goes, yeah, the one thing, it'd be nice if they would have done this. Type, period, send, and now you've got feedback. And you know what to change the next time you want to do updates. If you choose to make video products on things that are are sensitive or on topics that students have to know about, like maintaining your status, you want to have a way to know that they actually saw it. Because having 1,000 views on YouTube is great, and the marketing team will be overjoyed that you're getting that much traffic, but you want to know that your specific students saw it. And this actually isn't that difficult with a lot of enrollment management programs that you probably already have somewhere on your campus. For example, if anyone uses the Teradata, the Studio Abroad software, you can easily just make a portal that will house all of your videos, and students just log in with their student ID, and they can just watch them one at a time, click off, say, yes, I've watched it, and it's their own verification. And my very last point is I don't want to push anyone off of the value of numbers, because any video you put up online, you can have the analytical tools of it that will tell you way more than just how many people viewed it. You can know from what countries they've viewed it from, what countries you think they should have been viewing them from but aren't, China, Iran, Pakistan, and where then you need to make a solution for those specific countries. You can also track at what point they said, nope, not interested, and left. So if after 30 seconds you're losing all of your traffic, you're boring, and you've lost engagement. If it's 7 minutes, then you're probably going on too long. If it's at 4 minutes and 15 seconds, then there's something wrong at 4 minutes and 15 seconds that is turning people off. And also, don't think of it as a YouTube-only sort of thing. If YouTube is blocked in a country that you're targeting, you're going into, any video that you host online, say it's on your own website or through a provider other than YouTube, you can have this analytical data for. So, with that, I will say thank you, and we'll just open it up to general questions.